All right, so we're gonna go over setting up, putting strings on this RG8. The method that I use to get the proper length of string, so you'll have the proper number of wraps around each post. I do this with just about every single guitar. Each guitar is a little different because of the distance between the posts, and you'll see what I'm talking about here in just a second. But I just got this RG8 back from the paint shop, did a custom paint job, matching headstock. Whenever I got it, it looked rough. Somebody had put paint on it and sanded it all the way back down to the original paint. The original paint looked terrible, but anyways, string each string up. Make sure that the slot is free of debris. A lot of times what I do is use the actual string in the slot to just put a little force. I'm not trying to saw the whole thing completely out, but I'm just making sure it's free from getting bound up in the slot. Like I said, I didn't remove any material really, but I use this stuff, Dow Corning compounds release compound, 7 release compound, whatever. You can get this at hardware stores and stuff like that. I just get a little bit on a Q-tip, dab it down in the string slot. This stuff will remain this viscosity and pretty much this exact same consistency in like 1,000-degree heat. So first thing you do is have all your tuning posts pointing parallel with the neck, so you can just run the string through the hole, run it up through the hole, pull most of the slack out. It doesn't have to be super tight, but what I do is I pinch right behind the tuning head of the one that I'm working with, and I slide to the next tuning peg and then slightly beyond on the heavy wound strings. Now obviously this is an 8-string. I would actually be working on the 6th string of a regular 6-string guitar, but since these are pretty big strings, you don't have to go quite as far. Plus these tuning pegs right here are a little further apart than your average 6-string. So once again, run the string through the actual tuning peg hole, grab right behind the tuning peg, slide to the next post and just slightly beyond. Run it back down into there and bend the string to the inside or down. If this was an inline 6, I'd turn all of them pointing this direction. So then what I'm going to do is my first wrap will actually go above the tag end. Alright, now that I'm above the tag end, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop below where the tag end goes through the hole. Just like that. Get your excess, get your tag end out. And I've got a pair of snips somewhere, and then you have the flat side of your snips like that, and then the divot side. If you'll take the divot side and put the divot side right up against it, get down on the inside of the jaws and snap your string off. Be cut off the exact same distance, every single one. And I'll go ahead and finish the rest of these strings to show you. The unwound strings are done slightly different. I just do the wound strings this method. Once again, the hole is through there. I'm gonna clean out my string slot, make sure that there's nothing in here. The nut on these guitars are actually like a tusk style, so it's a little harder than your average plastic. All right, now what do we do when we don't have a tuning peg to go to measure to? What we do is we grab it right behind, pull most of the slack out. Then what we're going to do is we're going to pull just slightly past the one before it. Then we're going to take the tag end, turn it down towards the middle. Once again, our first wrap will go above the tag end. Second wind will go underneath where the tag end, the string goes through the post. And the rest of them will finish up around the bottom. You got to put a little bit of dowel Corning in the slot. Provides a little lubrication for the string, keeps it from binding up. And right here, I'll just push in on there to make sure that the wrap goes around and it doesn't flare out around the actual tuning peg. Helps with tuning stability. Once again, using this side of my cutters to make sure that I'm not too close to the tag end. Get it right up in there and bam, just like that. My last wound string. Once I finish with all of this, what I'll do is get a good close up. All right. Make sure that my string slot's cleaned out. I use the very tail end, the part that I'm gonna clip off to get down and clean out my string slot. I've never owned this guitar until, or never owned a guitar like this before. This is the first 8-string I've ever owned, but a guitar is a guitar. And I do this same process with every single guitar. All right, now since these are opposite side tuning, I'm actually gonna bend the tag end towards the center. Once again, center or down, or if they were bottom, they would be up if the tuners were on the bottom. Run through the hole, just get a little release compound in there, lube up the string slot. Alright, once again, we don't have a tuning peg to go to, so we're going to pull it back. So we're going to pull it back, pinch it right behind the tuning peg. I'm going to go 1, and since this one's a little thinner, I'm going to pull just slightly past it. Bend your tag end inside. Once again, the first wrap will go above the tag end. The second wrap will go underneath. And then you can see where that string, I don't know if you can see it in the video, but this string kind of flares out around the outside edge or the inside edge of that. If you'll just give it just a little push, what that does is make the break angle around the actual peg where it's not acting like a spring in your tuning stability. Put the tag in. All right, now, wound strings. Wound strings are a different thing. Part of the reason why that is wound strings don't have as much traction on the tuning peg itself. So we're gonna get more wraps. So on wound string or unwound strings, I like to go 2 to 2.5 tuning pegs. That provides a lot more stability around the peg. Same thing, using the very tip end of this. Make sure my string slot's nice and clear. Any debris, you'll feel it if it hangs up. If there's anything that's gonna hang the string up and cause bad tuning stability. A little release compound. And through the hole, pull it somewhat snug, pinch it right behind the peg. I'm gonna go 1, wait, I don't think I got a good grip on it, slipped. 1, 2, and just a little bit, bend it in towards the inside. First wrap goes above. Second wrap goes down underneath it. And that tagging gets pinked between those first two wraps. Alright, sometimes whenever the tagging drags across the headstock, you want to be careful not to scratch the guitar up. Alright. Right back at it. Let's clip the other end off so that's not in our way. Using on the inside so we're not too close. Using the tip of the string up here to clean out our string slot. Everything's good, nothing's binding. Pull it through. One. So here's what I do. Pull most of the slack out. There's not very much slack up here, or there's not very much slack on this end of the string. Go 1, 2, and then pull it past maybe halfway. Turn it in towards the inside. First wrap goes across the top. Second wrap goes underneath. All right, whenever you get that wrap around, you'll adjust your tag in just a little bit. All right, last wound string. All right, nothing's binding up my slot. Let's put a little release compound in there. Probably hear my kid upstairs acting crazy. All right. Put in the slot, pull most of the slack out, 1, 2.5. Bend it to the top. Now, sometimes when you have strings that are real thin and flimsy, it's hard to get that first wrap because it wants to slide out. If it does that, what you can do is wrap around the backside to the inside. And then what you can do is that's your top wrap, and the second wrap goes underneath the bottom. All right. This method is the same method that Martin uses and has used for almost 100 years or more, however long they've been around, to string their guitars. Personally, for me, it's the best way because it allows more surface area around the tuning peg, which helps tuning stability, and also there's the ease of being able to pull the string off whenever you need a quick string change, because it doesn't require any wrapping or some type of crazy knot or lock or something of that nature. But this right here will provide the best and the highest tuning stability of any string change or string method that I have ever seen. And you can tell whenever you play guitars. All right, if you got any questions, holler at me.